Welcome to the West Ada School Board meeting. It's October 10th, 2022. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight by Silver Sage Elementary School. Will everyone please rise? Thank you so much. All right, Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are not.
Thank you. With that, Dr. Bubb, time for the superintendent's update.
Madam Chair, trustees, just a couple items before we get into our student council report. First of all, it's National School Lunch Week. I had the honor and privilege to be able to serve with Cindy and her team over at Andrus Elementary School. It was amazing to give kids, nothing happier than giving kids chicken nuggets and French fries, all approved items. But the kids were excited. It was fun to be able to hang out with them and see the smiles on their faces. I want to say congratulations to Rocky Mountain High School girls golf team for winning state championship. Mountain View High School got second place, and Eagle High School boys golf team won a state championship. So congratulations to our West Ada schools. October 7th was National Custodian Day. I will tell you, just as a high school principal, our custodians carry so much of the weight of making sure our campuses are good educational environments. Just a special thank you to all of them and the work that they do. There's sometimes those hidden forces behind closed doors that just come in and make sure our rooms are clean at night and make sure that that our facilities are ready to go for the next day of learning. So a special thank you to our custodians. October 5th was our collaboration day. Just for board information and for public information, the way that works is it's kind of this opportunity for about 4,000 employees across the entire district to work together to improve their craft, learn from each other. Marcus did a great job working with a team of people to set up individual learning that was really focused on what they needed. That supported our district-wide initiatives. So it was great to be able to see them. I was able to walk the classrooms here at Renaissance and see them working together, so you can see them learning from one another, and it was just a spectacular day. So I know it's an inconvenience sometimes to give a day off in the middle like that, but it was a huge benefit for our teachers and just a great day of learning for everybody. So I appreciate the support with that.
Thank you very much. All right, our West Ada School District Spotlight tonight is going to be by Rhonda McDonough, and she's the director of, pardon me? Oh, sorry.
We have ASB first. Will Taji from Eagle High School's here.
I apologize. I didn't intentionally leave Will off because I let him in the door. So Will, come on up and give us an update from Eagle High School. I apologize.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. No worries. Hello, everybody. My name is William Taji. I am the student body co-president at Eagle High. By unfortunate last-minute circumstances, my co-president, Olivia Baker, wasn't able to be here with us today, so I'll be going over some of the information that she would have shared, so bear with me, but I'll be all right. So far at Eagle, since the end of our summer, as a student leadership group, we've been really pleased with the level of student participation that we've had at all of our events. That's carried over to our Homecoming Spirit Week, our sports events, and our fundraisers. Our senior parking spots event was an example of one of these events that we were thrilled with how many students came out. We were able to sell to over 220 parking spots, and we're currently working on allocating those funds that we raised to a community organization that would benefit from those funds. That's one of, as a student leadership group, that's one of our biggest initiatives for the year, is to get more involved with the community and to help out some of the organizations that do community work around us as best we can. And so we're excited to work with them more in the future. One of the one of the new additions in our student body has been the introduction to our Sources of Strength group, which is a group of students who have a class that is entirely dedicated to helping students build healthy habits and finding their personal sources of strength. So far, their work as a group has been a huge success. They've been able to establish themselves well in our school already, and we're really excited to see what they can do in the future. They've been, so far in the year, one of the things they've done, they've come into our classes in advisory and led some short discussions about how we can find positive mentors in our life and build sustainable habits for ourselves and do things that will really take us to the next level of success beyond high school, which has been fantastic. Highlighting students and building each other up was, along with Sources of Strength, that's something that we really look for is this year as a student leadership group. As you can see projected up there, some of the student spotlights that we've given out so far during the year is Silas Walthall and Daniela Yanev on the left. Those are our school mascots for the year. They've been fantastic. We've really, really enjoyed having them as a part of our student section. We've always had mascots in our student section, but it's been fantastic to have two students so involved in it, and it's been a pleasure for our students. And then on the right is Alex Lodge, our National Merit semifinalist. We're thrilled to have him represent Eagle, and excited for what he'll do in the future. So at Eagle, transitioning to advisory in our schedule has been a pretty smooth transition so far. Our teachers and staff have been really good with encouraging students to utilize it as much as possible. That's something that I've been really happy with. I've never had a teacher. I've gone into my teacher's classes plenty of times during advisory, and I've never had a teacher question me or have any questions about why I think I need to. They've been super supportive and happy to help me with whatever I need help with. So that's been fantastic. It's also been very beneficial for students who may not even be struggling academically, but if they have something that they need to work on for their college applications in the Career Center, if they're involved in an organization that needs to meet and there's not really a good time to do that, and you don't want to stay in for lunch or something like that, advisory has been a fantastic time that that our students have been able to get that done, and advisory's been able to integrate itself into our work schedule already, and it's been fantastic so far. Another thing that we've done in advisory is introducing tutor.com, which I know is implemented at a district level, but at Eagle in specific, it has gone smoothly for us. In my personal advisory class, I think it worked for every last person in the room. I was able to ask my tutor a question about my government homework, and I was kind of not sure what I would get, but I was actually given a very detailed answer that helped me a lot, and that's been another thing that teachers have been very encouraging for us to utilize as much as we can. It's not an initiative that kind of got looked over. I'm really excited to see how students can utilize that in the future, because teachers have really been encouraging us to do that as much as they can. One of our favorite new traditions at Eagle has been having each captain of our football team pick a staff member to be an honorary captain to come onto the field and be on the team with them. This has been a really good space for student athletes to show appreciation to some of our teachers, and it's been super successful so far this year. I even had one teacher that I was talking to about it, and she was like getting emotional talking about how pleased she was and how unique of an experience it was. I think it's been a great initiative for our staff to feel more appreciated, even though we have a lot of students who may appreciate their teachers that they see every day. Sometimes they don't always share it, and so that's been one of our favorite new traditions, and excited to do that more in the future. So that's all I have prepared. If you guys have any questions about Eagle or the student's perspective of anything that you guys are doing, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you so much. Are there any comments or questions? No, that was fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Dr. Bubb, anything else?
No, I just want to say thank you to Will for taking time to be here today. I know it always takes something out of your day. You're a busy guy, so I appreciate you being here.
Perfect. All right. Next, we have our West Ada School District Spotlight, and this will be given by Rhonda McDonough, Director of Federal Programs, and this will go over our federal programs and English learners.
Pardon me? Okay. Yeah, or you can scroll through. Hello, Chairwoman Frazier, trustees, and Dr. Bubb, of course, executive team. We are always happy to be invited here because it gives us an opportunity to brag about our staff and showcase some of the exciting things happening within our department. Oftentimes we get questions about kind of what federal programs is. And so, do I just drive on here? Oh, there we go. So that kind of shows like an overview. Oftentimes it tags with programs more. You'll hear about Title I. Last year we came and talked about community schools, professional development. We have our toe dipped in that often. Instructional coaching falls under federal programs. Tonight, as Dr. Bubb said, we're here to talk about our English learners, particularly how we engage our families to be involved, especially our non-English speaking families. Lisa is going to come up in just a moment. Lisa Austin is here with me, and she is the Federal Programs Administrator, and she oversees the division of EL particularly. We know, and why we're excited about what we're sharing tonight, is that kind of system look at supports, and we know that that students are more successful when their parents are engaged, when they know what's happening in the schools and can engage and be connected with the school in authentic ways. And the department, our staff, Lisa, and the teachers and the community that works with our EL students really have worked hard to remove some of those communication barriers. When you think about federal programs, if you often think about that's our charge, like we remove the barriers that all West Ada families should have access to, that all West Ada kids should have access to, regardless of what barrier might be in the way. And so Lisa is going to talk about those things that are happening in the school, and it's pretty exciting. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to talk about what we're doing for our English learners. Chairwoman Frazier, Dr. Bubb, and trustees. So just to look a little at our data, and I want to thank Silver Sage Elementary so much for being here. They're a good representation of a school with some of our EL students there. We directly serve over 1,400 English learners in our district. And in total in West Ada, we're almost 3,200 students from multilingual families. So that represents, we have 81 languages in West Ada. So it is pretty incredible. When you look at the depth and the breadth of what that means in a lot of ways, obviously there are some barriers there with language, and so we're excited. I'm really excited tonight to share with you some of the ways that we are breaking through some of those. By the federal definition, West Ada has 573 students who are considered refugees. So that's another thing. We want to make sure that we're welcoming those families and providing all the best that we can for them. And this is a population that grows quite regularly. And so far this school year, we've registered over 300 new students into the EL program. Am I doing this? Okay. As Rhonda mentioned, we are blessed to have a great team. And I want to just introduce our family advocates. We have Eva Urquia here tonight, Isa Maurer, and Katie Crawford was here a little while ago. She was in charge of making sure that those silver students got back to where they need to be this evening. But I would like to have them stand up and just be acknowledged. So Isa and Eva, thank you so much for all you do. They are really the personalized communication tool for federal programs, and they are that first face of West Ada, and luckily they're always very generous, warm, and welcoming, smiling faces. And they help us by building capacity for our families, removing some of the barriers that are difficult for them due to language. So they really are on the front lines and are a critical part of our team. So we really appreciate them so much. I don't know if I'm doing this. Okay. One of the communication tools that is new to us this year on a district-wide level is talking points. And so we want to, as we said, we know that family engagement is successful when the families know what's going on and can understand and feel included in all of those events. So Talking Points is an app, and it is a two-way automatically translated texting app that really opens the doors for our families. So one of the things that we do when a new family registers is obviously they give us a lot of information, and Talking Points pulls that data about what that home language is. And so through Talking Points, it enables us to send a text, and it's automatically translated into the language that they have indicated. Then that parent or family member can use their language, either speech to text or actually texting, back into the app, and it translates whatever their message is back to our staff in English. So it really does take away so many of the barriers. Obviously, previously, if you have to get a translation for that type of communication, even if it's a short little thing where a teacher wants to tell a parent your kid did a great job in class today, or just reminding you next week is parent-teacher conferences, it slows down that whole process. And so Talking Points really allows a teacher, an administrator, a nurse, the secretary, anyone to quickly send a message to that family. So that's been just incredible for us this year. And it's really revolutionized the way that our EL teachers and other staff members are interacting with our multilingual families. Again, everyone's busy parents, right? And if they can get this information, we know that the likelihood of them being engaged and involved is so much more, we can just depend on that. So this is a snapshot as of last Monday, I believe. Just our Talking Points data for this school year, just a couple months in. We have sent over 11,000 messages using Talking Points. And I would say maybe, I don't know, a couple hundred of those may have been sent without it. But even just those messages from an administrator, teachers to those parents, it's really, really made an incredible difference. So part of what we, I'll talk about that in a minute. Another tool that we have as a Microsoft district is Microsoft Translator. And so that also helps us in the classroom and outside of the classroom to really break down those barriers for instruction. And we have a lot of ways that our elementary, middle, and high school students have that as a tool, and they're utilizing that quite a bit for in-class instruction and for obviously reading text and so forth. So I want to share a little bit about, whoops, sorry, I'm sorry that was out of order. Oh, that's okay, now I figured it out. Part of the evidence of the success of Talking Points was that last year I was new to this job, and we did start a partnership with CWI for English classes for our multilingual families. And we invited a lot of parents with flyers and the traditional ways of getting that information out. This year with talking points, we more than doubled the people that came out for that first night. So I just took a picture at Centennial High School, and those were lots of families lined up to participate in those English classes. So it's been incredible. We're running 4 full classrooms over at Centennial High 2 nights a week, and it's incredible. We really have over 120 enrolled. So that's been another just a way that we are trying to break down those barriers and share information about what we can offer at West Ada. One fun thing, that first night I met a young man. I used to be at Meridian Middle School, and he was wearing a Meridian Middle School lanyard. And so I said hello, and we spoke for a few minutes. But then later, this slide shows him. He was at Meridian Middle School. I was over there to learn more about Microsoft Translator and how to best utilize it in the classroom. And his EL teacher said, "Oh, I know just the kid who can show us how to do this." And so we got him in there, and I said, "Hey, I remember you. Don't you remember?" "Oh, yeah, yeah." So his parents are in the class at Centennial High, and here he is showing both the instructional technology consultant, myself, the teacher, and a paraprofessional, how he is leveraging Microsoft Translator. So he was showing, hey, if I set it here and my teacher is saying this, it will automatically translate what my teacher says, and I can read it on this box. So not only does it reinforce the English that he's learning, because it's showing the text again that the teacher is actually speaking, it also is providing it in his language. So we really believe we're better together in federal programs. Rhonda and I are family advocates, are EL consultants and teachers, and I'm privileged to share what we're doing to break down the communication barriers for our multilingual families. That's it. Any questions? Okay.
Are there any comments or questions? Oh, thank you so much. That was, oh, pardon me. Oh, sorry. Trustee Bacleon. Sorry.
Hi, thank you for
Hi.
being here, and thank you for your presentation.
Yes.
As somebody who has children who have been a part of this, the English language in this program, I have to say that West Ada has done a really, really good job with it, and I really appreciate all that. My children have been through and all that the district has done. I do have a couple of follow-up questions, though.
Yeah, sure.
The first is that has the district ever considered for translation? Well, okay, let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So using these machine translation, is it only non-essential communication, or does essential communication also go through these apps, the Microsoft Translate and the other translation?
My understanding of it is that Talking Points is a little bit different. It does have the AI translators, but they also, in their service, have really made it educationally focused, so that some of the jargon, some of the educational abbreviations are provided for in the translation. And there also is a human element in that translation as well. So anything that looks kind of tougher than normal or isn't necessarily easily translated, there are human eyes, and they have a staff that is able to translate in over 125 languages. There are some issues, of course, with the AI type of translation, but they're always getting better. So part of the picture there, when the instructional technology coach was there, we were really looking at that exact type of question. How do we work with Microsoft to tell them what we need so that they are always updating what they're doing, so that that's better accessible for kids and for their families?
Can I speak to one thing
Yeah,
too?
sure.
And I wonder if the other point you're getting at too is the communication as a district, like the critical information that we're sharing from a district. I think we're always working on those things. Our webpage can be translated immediately. There's some tools like that, but that's part of our advocates too, why that face-to-face is so important, is because they really bridge some of that critical stuff that happens between school and home. Navigating systems, Power School, those things that are hard enough to do when you speak English, let alone navigate those from another language. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what you meant, but between the two, you can kind of see how we're balancing that.
That does address part of it. It does. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Can I just ask a quick follow-up question, if that's right? For example, my wife, who is a native speaker of Mandarin, she does from time to time, has done assisting with translation with Caldwell School District. So they ask her and it's sometimes just like really simple things, and it's really, it's just done on a part-time contract basis. I wondered, has West Ada ever considered having human translation just for, like finding human translation for these different languages that we have? I know 81 seems like a lot, but it does seem like a lot, but like there's some that could be perhaps, there's a lot of common languages that are shared with a vast majority of the students. Does the district, have you ever considered doing human translation? I guess what I'm leading to is because I do have a lot of concerns with machine translations overall, because I myself also translate as part of my job. And last week, for example, at work, I had to retranslate an entire document which had been machine translated because it was just littered with inaccuracies. And it was, some of those programs, they do learn over time, and I understand that there's a lot of learning, but there's sometimes it can be difficult.
Yes, so. Chair Frazier and Trustee, I think your point is well received. That has always been our given way that we communicate with our families, is through live translators. We actually have a translation secretary. Her name is Kelly Esplin, very beloved, and she is in the business of gathering translators. And so almost daily, she's updating that list. What we were hoping to do this year was that immediate, like, can I get a hold of the parent right now? Those kinds of things. But there's never a replacement for a human. And for our MDT meetings, those important meetings with families and parents, parent-teacher conferences, those things, we will rely more on live translation. We're lucky because Ava, who works with our Spanish speakers, she's bilingual also. Isa, and so within our schools we have some of that, but you're right, that face-to-face. These are kind of just our hacks to communication that we've tried to figure out, ways that we can get, and texting is the way of the world, so we get a lot of hits on that. But that's such a good question, and we don't want to negate the work of our live translators that we're accessing on a regular basis too. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. That really does answer.
And if your wife's not on our list, we probably should get her name before, because we're always looking.
She's on Caldwell's list, so. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam
Vice
Chair, I
Chair.
have one quick follow-up to that. Thanks for all the work that you do for our EL students. It's so important. I am curious, do you find that most of the EL families have technology in the house? Do they have cell phones and the ability to get text and computers, and are they tapped in? Most of them tapped in that way?
Yes, Chair Frazier and Trustee Azuna. We do find the cell phone is the one that gives us the quickest access. Usually a smartphone. There's usually internet access. We have lots of systems within the district to provide that if they don't have it. As our kids are one-to-one, federal programs can also provide things for families. In addition to that, Wi-Fi, those kinds of things. That doesn't seem to be as much of a barrier. The greatest issue is that you can't do everything on a cell phone. So we have to get them in to be able to do that. And, Ava, Kelly Esplin, the other person I mentioned, they register face-to-face. And so they're working through that. But those are barriers we continue. And so we're hoping to do parent educations and things like that. But access doesn't seem to be as big of an issue as it was, 5 years ago, certainly. Yeah, thank you for that.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you so much. Such a vital service. We appreciate it. All right, next on our agenda is patron input. We didn't have anyone sign up this evening, but if anyone would like that opportunity to come up and comment on something that's agendized, you're welcome to do so. All right. We'll move on to consent agenda. Now, there is an item on consent. It's number 3. It's our Finance and Operations Monthly Report. The board would like a little more time to review that, and so I am open for a motion to approve consent agenda minus item 3. Trustee Benetti.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 3, Finance and Operations Monthly Report, September 1 through 30, 2022.
Is there a second? Trustee Bachman?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. Moves us to our discussion portion, and tonight that's by Nick Smith, our Deputy Superintendent, and he'll go over Policy 203.02.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Trustees, and Superintendent Bubb. I'm here tonight to present the second reading of the proposed revisions to Policy 203.02, which is the Order of Business Regular Meeting Policy. As a reminder, the recommended changes to this policy came out of our board summit, where we identified a need to revise the order of agenda items as they were outlined in the policy. In making those revisions, it was determined by the policy committee that it would be best to remove the order of the agenda items and simply focus on the agenda items that will generally be included on the agenda. The edits also address how public comments will be received, and based on board comments from the first reading, we have added patron input related to agenda items to the list of items that will generally be included on the board agenda. And then in reviewing the policy in our policy committee, in that discussion, we also will be updating the title of the policy from Order of Business to Regular Meetings, from Order of Business Regular Meetings to Agenda Regular Meetings, and have removed the section related to special meetings since this policy specifically addresses regular meetings. With that said, based on the way Assembly works, we cannot update the title in the draft at this time, but will update it once the policy is approved after the third reading. So again, the intent from the committee is that we will update the title from Order of Business Regular Meetings to Agenda Regular Meetings. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Any questions? Vice Chair Zuna.
Thanks, Mr. Smith. So I just want to confirm, when we see this for the third reading, the patron input section there will be changed, and then that very last paragraph from what you see online. Is that correct?
So what you see before you right now with that is not the way it reads currently in the Assembly. So the part that is teal, I guess it is. Oh, I have it right here. The part that is teal that says patron input, that is currently in the system saying, let me see. It currently says patron input related to agenda items. So that's what it should read for this second reading.
Okay.
And then the issue is that I didn't accept it and move it over to the second reading. It's now been moved over. So for the third reading,
Gotcha.
we'll make sure it moves over.
We'll see it on the third reading.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that last paragraph as well, what you went through, we'll see that
Correct.
also.
That
okay.
should also
Thank you.
be.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other comments or questions? All right, that looks great. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. All right, now we will move into executive session. So I'm open to a motion to enter executive session per Idaho Code 74-2061B. Trustee Benetti.
I move that we enter executive session per Idaho Code 74-206 sub 1 sub B to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, individual agent, or public school student.
All right, is there a second? Trustee Bachman?
Second.
All right, so the Board of Trustees will recess from a public meeting into executive session in the manner and for the purpose authorized by Section 74-2061/B. Sorry, I was doing it in order. Yeah. Idaho Code to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, or public school student as set forth in Section 74-201B. We'll now do an individual vote. Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Bachleon?
Aye.
Trustee Redford?
Aye.
Vice Chair Zuna?
Aye.
Chair also votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. The board will enter executive session at 6:34 p.m. board will resume open session. It is 6:44 p.m. At this point, I'm open for a motion to approve administration's action to place employee A on paid administrative leave and to continue such leave. Trustee Redford.
I move that the board approves the administration's action to place employee A on paid administrative leave and to continue such leave.
Is there a second? Trustee Bachman?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. Are there any future agenda items? Vice Chair Zuna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had just a couple, and I don't think we're ready to probably talk about these yet, but once we get to the point in time that and this probably is already on the list, but when we get to the point in time that we have results from the first 9-week assessment, I'm curious if we can include in that presentation any results that we're seeing from all-day kindergarten. And then our student council speaker, Will, tonight mentioned a couple of the things that I had on my list to talk about. Also, one of them was the impact of the advisory period that we have for high school and the tutor.com and what kind of results we're seeing out of that. And just when you're ready to bring those forward. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other items? Trustee Benetti.
Yeah, actually, Trustee Azuno just sort of reminded me that we have the ISAT results that are going to become public here, hopefully on October 21st. I talked with the director of that, and they have to re-vote on it, but they're going to vote on it again. But then after that, the ISAT results will become public, so that's probably also something we should think about for a future. I'm assuming that's already on the docket, but it was a little bit more delayed than normal. Normally it comes out in August, but this year it's coming out on October 21st.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. With that, I'm open to a motion to adjourn. Trustee Redford.
I move that the board adjourns.
Is there a
Please.
second? Trustee Bachman.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Have a good night.